Hello, my name is Neil Latham. I'll be talking to you about Kaiseriche Bohne, and we'll be going through some data insights of the company today. On the agenda, we'll be going over a quick background on the company with an executive summary. I'll talk about the overall year-over-year performance. I'll then go into some product category analysis, some seasonal considerations as well, and then lastly, we'll cover off some sentiment analysis, and then finally, a summary and some recommendations for the company. Kaiseriche Bohne is a popular coffee shop in Vienna, Austria. The owners provide us with some point of sale data, which will be used to look at what are the key predictors of, in this case, sales. The owner has a very strong empirical view of the business. We'll be using analytics to look and predict what the key drivers of the business are. Additionally, I did require some Google review data to look at sentiment analysis of coffee shops in Vienna, Austria. We'll be using the Chris DM approach for the analysis. The assumptions are that the goal is to maximize sales. We're scoping down to the top 15 products to narrow down to cappuccino and specific products for forecasting. And then our analysis covers June of 22 through end of April 2023. When we look at the overall analysis of the business year over year, you can see that the growth is very strong, 254K in 22, growing to 369K in 2023. And then finally, the imputed value here is 406.1 thousand euros for 2024. So overall, really strong performance of the business. When we look at the distribution of that data, you can see that the average transaction amount is €3.80, with the maximum being 170 euros 70 cents and the smallest being 34 cents. So overall, you can see very strong growth in this business. Here's a more detailed month-over-month view of the sales for the business. You can see comparing August 22 to August 23, there was a 38.5% growth. And then comparing that same period from 23 to 24, there was a 32.3% growth. So not just not just double digit growth, but high double digit growth. So great sales performance overall. You can see with the bar chart on the left-hand side here, there are two product categories, cafe and Spen, that account for 86% of all sales in the company. And then once we drill into these two bars, you can see that there are 15 of 63 products in those product categories of cafe and Spen that account for 82% of the volume uh, in those products. So you can see here going from the bottom, 26% is for cappuccino, then we accumulate up to 39.62% and so on and so on. So this is a nice chart that really shows you how focused this business is on some very specific products. This violin plot shows the variation between different products. You can see here that Americano and Big Americano has about a €1 difference. It's a great opportunity to upsell to a large Americano. Same thing here for cafe latte and cappuccino. Quite a bit of difference between these, essentially the same coffee drink. So opportunity to level pricing there as well. And then pretty much every product has this long tail. There's some lumps on the end of these tails, which implies that there's probably add-ons happening to these. So lots of opportunity for promotions and cross-sell, upsell. This chart shows us the pairings between pastries and cappuccinos. So for this high point here in number one, you can see that it's cappuccino associated with tart. And so for this particular pairing, we have over 1,600 purchases. The next largest one is the Swedish cinnamon bun associated with cappuccino. That's over 1,500 purchases. And in third and fourth position, we have croissant and pain au chocolat with a cappuccino for 1,300 and 1,200 respectively. So these pairings combined account for 10,412 units sold as a pairing over a total of 48,656, which is about a 20% attach rate. If you'd like to click on this link here, you can actually view the live 3D interactive plot, which is a very powerful tool. The contour plot on the left-hand side of this slide is a very powerful tool. The yellow and light green points are the high points or where most of the volume is occurring, and that is between the hours of really between 7:30 and 9 a.m. in the morning, which is intuitive, I believe. The other thing I would just point out is that you can see these light green areas across most of the hours of the day, which is showing that the volume of cappuccino sales throughout the day is moderately to quite strong. And then you can see that after the hours of sort of 5 p.m., you can see this dark blue to light blue, which is dropping off. And that really shows up in this box plot over here as well. You can see that these the box plot here is showing the drop between after 5 p.m., where sales are really slowing. And then another observation would be the summer months between July and August. We can see a pretty significant drop off here. This was also proven out with some statistical analysis, where we saw the p-values being very low for these areas. All that to say, I think the contour plot is very, very valuable. It gives you a strong visual indication of where the volume is throughout the day. For the cappuccino daily forecasting, we can see that the for the time period that we're looking at from January 22 to April 2023, we can see that the average quantity per hour is 14 cups. You can see here. Overall, the trend is increasing for the cups per hour. The forecasted analysis actually shows us that on the high side, we're doing 22 cups per hour, and on the low side, we're doing 16 cups per hour. This translates into us needing 4 kilograms of beans and 38 liters of milk to meet that demand throughout the day. From a staffing perspective, the difference between 16 to 22 is insignificant, so we would keep staffing about the same. I did grab some additional data from Google reviews, and you can see what's pretty interesting here is the 1 and 2 star Google reviews, I think, offer the most insight, which would be people complaining about rude staff, feeling the pressure to tip. The waits were very long waiting to get their coffee or their pastries. And also, they didn't like the fact that it was cash only. Comparatively, the 4 and 5 star Google reviews were commenting about how customers really enjoyed these very specific products, like the cone with the latte in it, chocolate, and some other particular pastries customers would continually go back for, and friendly staff. So overall, I think some good insights here, which could be applied to the business as well. Overall, a very strong business with strong year-over-year performance. Coffee and pastries account for 86% of all sales. Of the 86%, 15 products account for 82% of those sales. So great, great focus in our product sets, which are driving the majority of the sales for the business. I have some recommendations. The first one is that we would simplify pricing on cappuccinos and lattes, make those the same. They're different, but essentially it's the same drink with the same amount of inventory going in. Opportunity for more revenue for us there. I would also say that we have products that have add-ons. We should do promotions for add-ons throughout the week and do some testing. That could also drive additional sales for the company. And finally, on attach rates. So attach rates of pastries to coffee, particularly cappuccinos, we can see that cappuccinos and a pastry have about a 25% attach rate. We should do promotions throughout the week, really focusing on cinnamon bun, tarts, attaching those to cappuccinos throughout the week could help us see a significant lift there. And then on the forecasting side, we're doing about 16 to 22 cups an hour on the cappuccino, which really means that we need about 4 kilograms of beans per day and about 38 liters of milk to make sure that we're hitting our inventory levels required for that particular drink. And then lastly, customer sentiment, making sure that we've got really friendly staff, making sure that our wait times are as short as possible. We don't have a pressure tipping culture, and that we really are known for a particular pastry. That was something that stood out with 4 and 5 star reviews of customers continuing to come back for those particular products. Thank you for listening. My name is Neil Latham.